Are you ready? Everybody ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Start early if it's long.
Oh, I'm just waiting for that magical 5 o'clock.
Clock is fast.
There it is.
Different every week.
Computer's good. We can start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's special session, reorganization of our board, and also the committee of the whole agenda. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. We have met official compliance for this meeting. Roll call, please. Ann, you'll need to do roll call tonight.
Shelley Muhammad,
Here.
Nick Olson,
Here.
Sarah Schubert McCone,
Here.
Laura Gapsky.
Here.
Catherine Gaman.
Here.
Lisa Paulson,
Here.
and President Steve Olson.
Here. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by signing up on the public comment sign-up sheet by the entrance prior to the start of the meeting. The board requests refraining from making any comments involving personally identifiable information about students, staff, or administration. Comments should be respectful, focused on the items being considered by the board, and will be restricted to 3 minutes in length. Reorganization of the board. Newly elected school board members Steve Olson and Lisa Paulson signed their official oath of office prior to assuming responsibilities on April 27, 2026. And this time I'd like to welcome Lisa to our board. We're looking forward to you being part of our.
And congratulations, Steve.
Thank
Coming on back.
Next up is our voting for our officers. And first is to vote for a new president.
I'll nominate Steve Olson for board president.
Second.
There's a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Vice President, call for nominations.
would like to nominate Laura Gatsby.
Second.
Nominate John Nicholson.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Laura Gapsky for Vice President, Nicholas Olson for Vice President. There have been seconds. Because we have 2 people nominated, we do move to a secret ballot.
Steve, do you need to say, do you have to ask 3 times?
Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And at this time, then we will proceed to the vote. Again, we have 2 individuals. Thus, we will go to a secret ballot. I ask that you please write the name of your choice on your ballot. The ballots will be collected by Ann, and then she and Dr. Starzecki will go into a different room and count the ballots.
Folded mine.
So did I.
And one could see my vote on it. Yes. You drink coffee all the time. Like all day. Sometimes.
Oh, smells good.
What's up? Look at you.
Did you make it here? Yeah. They told me it's all green.
Neon colors.
What is it? You need 3 weeks of green.
How long can it go? Right.
Vice President is Laura Gapsky.
Thank you and congratulations to you, President Olson. I look forward to working alongside you again another year.
Thank you, Laura, and congratulations to you. The next office is that of the treasurer. Call for nominations, please.
I'd like to nominate Sarah McCone, Schubert McCone.
There's a motion and a second for Sarah Schubert McCone. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye for Sarah Schubert McCone.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Sarah. School clerk. I'd like to open nominations for our school clerk.
I'd like to nominate Shelley Moan.
Second.
Motion and a second for school clerk Shelley Moen. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of secretary deputy clerk. Call for volunteers and or nominations, and I nominate Ann Schultz.
Second.
Motion and a second for Ann Schultz as the secretary deputy clerk. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment for representative of the annual CISA 12 convention. This has generally been a volunteer, or we could nominate.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to know when the meeting is. It's still Tuesday.
It's generally Tuesdays, and it's generally once a month. What's changed a little bit over all the years when you were part of it and I was part of it is that we do get a update. In fact, Dr. Starzecki gets the update, and then she's been sharing that with us. There hasn't been a lot of need to be attending that in person. You can attend virtually as well. So
So what's the May 26th date, though? That's the annual convention,
that is a good question. Ann, is that what that is?
and that's virtual or in person?
I think it's in person.
I would volunteer, but not this year. I can't turn around that quickly and do
Right.
that.
Right.
I do know that it did not take a lot of my time the 1 year that I had it.
Is it just a one-time commitment?
No.
Is this is the monthly meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know why
It
it
doesn't,
doesn't.
I know.
Convention. Yeah.
It's the CISA board rep.
right.
Yeah.
So can we make a motion to amend this agenda to say CISA board
Board rep,
rep,
and the convention being a part of that, right?
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I get a second? For the
I'll second that.
The motion
Amend
and
it.
motion and a second to change the wording appointment to as for a representative to the CISA 12 board, which includes convention on May 26, 2026.
They give you a nice breakfast at the conference every year.
Where is?
Well, I'm in.
Yeah.
Sounds like you.
Where is it?
I don't know. I was just trying to I can't find it on their website.
And again,
I think the more important part is being a board rep on the CISA
Correct.
with the other CISA 12 board members and just having a voice as part of that consortium, I think.
convention really hasn't been on radar all that often.
I was the CISA rep for a couple years. I was also a board member on the CISA, like a voting member. While I was on the CISA 12 and a board member, I actually was the CISA delegate. And so I was able to vote in the delegation as well. And you get to hear from 17 other school districts. I have a conflict on Tuesday evening, so as much as I'd like to do that, I just am saying I'm unable to, but there's a lot of good opportunities on there. We are the largest school district in there, and so people really look to our district as well for ideas. You can pass resolutions on there as well. So I found it a really good experience just to share that personal experience for me.
I'll volunteer for next year.
Yeah, all right, putting you down.
I just can't.
Are you willing to be the board rep that meets monthly, the virtual
I could
meetings?
do that.
I mean, I feel like that's the more important part.
It is.
Yeah, I just can't do this May 26th date.
And I think that's
No.
okay.
So are you volunteering?
I'll nominate Catherine Gramond as the CISA rep.
I mean, I work with CISAs anyhow. Be good.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for Catherine Gamond as our CISA 12 representative. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Catherine.
No problem.
Appointment of a delegate and alternate to the annual WASB convention in January of 2027. Are there any volunteers or persons to be nominated?
I'd like to nominate myself, just given my background and experience with legislation and commitment to being a good delegate and asking for y'all's input.
Second.
Right, I'd like to split this then.
Oh, the
Yeah.
alternate should be separate.
So there's a motion and a second for Laura Gapsky as the delegate to the WASB convention. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then an appointment as for an alternate to the annual WASB convention. Are there any volunteers or nominations?
I'll nominate Shelley Mullen
A second.
as the alternate delegate.
Are you good with that, Shelley?
Yeah, we did that. I think last year you were interested. Yeah.
A motion and a second for Shelley Moen as the alternate to the annual WASB convention in January of 2027. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of school board representative to the Superior Scholarship Foundation Board of Directors. I would like to volunteer in return in that role.
Second.
I'm volunteering, so I don't think we need a
Oh,
nomination.
you don't need it? Oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't believe so, right, Kyle? Yeah. All right, are there any other volunteers or nominations?
I'd be interested in volunteering.
Shelley, I shall acquiesce and I will step back and are there any other nominations besides Shelley Mullen for the Scholarship Foundation Board of Directors? Are there any other volunteers or nominations for the Scholarship Foundation Board of Directors? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business in this reorganization, you all have a copy of the Board of Education meeting schedule for 2026-27. Give you a moment to look that over.
I'm excited to see location changes. Thank you, Anne. And board members that advocated for that. Great.
So what we're going to attempt to do in this year is to pick a couple of the schools. One will be on October 12th, our regular board meeting, and we will move that meeting to Northern Lights Elementary. And we will start approximately 1/2 hour before our regular board meeting, giving members of the public an opportunity to meet and questions for the board or concerns, so the public has an opportunity to express them to us in person.
Will that be for every meeting or just the ones offsite?
Just the ones off-site.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
Right.
Okay.
We chose. And then the second, will be at the middle school on February 8th, 2027. Call your attention to the month of March, where we will have two meetings, 14 days apart because of spring break. If you look at the October and then November meetings, reminder that in October, we will be meeting 3 times, but the fact of the matter is on Monday, October 26, 2026, that's the required budget hearing, which really takes place of our November call.
Motion to approve the schedule.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the school board meeting calendar for July 2026 through 2027. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'd accept a motion to adjourn this special session.
Steve, did you talk about the committee assignments?
That'll be in the next.
Okay, just so the public knows.
I missed that.
Process is.
I missed that. So let's go back before I jump to that calendar. So board members, board committee preferences for 26-27. You will receive an online form from Ann, and on that will be the number of our committees that we have. You'll select preference 1, 2, or 3 of number 1 being your first choice of which committee you would like to chair, your second, and then your third choices. So that'll come out tomorrow morning. I would like to have it back if possible by Wednesday, because then I'll go through the process of putting together board committee assignments and get that out to you before next Monday's meeting. Any questions about that? All right. Now at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the special session.
I will second that.
Motion to second to adjourn the special session. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This time I'll accept a motion to move to the committee of the whole agenda.
Motion to move to the committee of the whole agenda.
Second.
Motion second to move to the committee of the whole agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action taken at today's meeting is to forward the recommendation for final approval at the next regular school board meeting on Monday, May 11, 2026. At this time, I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. We have met compliance with all official notifications and roll call, please.
Shelley Mullin,
Here.
Nick Olson,
Here.
Sarah Schubert McComb. Here. Laura Gatsky.
Here.
Catherine Gamont.
Here.
Lisa Paulson.
Here.
And President Steve Olson.
Here. All right, Ann, are there any comments by members of our public this evening? I'll send our meeting over to you, Dr. Zeki.
I have one informational item and one action item. Thank you for being patient, Four Corners.
I know it's down back there. I was like,
Waited for.
Welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Good evening, President Olson and the board. It's good to be here. It feels like
See you.
it was very cold last time I was here. Now it's still cold. So I'm here this evening to give you an update on where we are and where things are headed at Four Corners. We've got some of our initial spring data in already, so I wanted to share that with you. And I've got some students with us tonight that are going to share some exciting accolades that they've received this spring. So it's been kind of amazing. So it always gives me this and it stresses me out.
Is it on?
we're saving batteries and confusing everyone.
Sure, that's over. Okay, so our goal this year has been really a continuation of our goal the last couple of years. To make sure that 100% of our students that are scoring in that high risk or some risk category in terms of literacy in the fall will make aggressive growth from fall to spring. And really it's measured by the FastBridge A reading for our older students and the Ames Web Plus for our early learners. And aggressive growth, we defined it as making more than 1 year's academic growth within the academic year and ultimately at that K1, 2, 3 level exiting a reading plan. So some celebrations that we've got as far as our data is concerned. First of all, we were able to exit 10 students from reading plans this year, which means they went from well below the benchmark to above the benchmark, which was super exciting. The first bullet point, I think, is quite astounding. 100% of our first graders were above the benchmark in oral reading fluency, which was amazing. 96% of our second graders and 4% is one student, just to give you kind of perspective. And 88% of our third grade students were all above the benchmark in oral reading fluency. So our staff worked incredibly hard. Our kids worked incredibly hard. Our EMLSS teacher, Sarah Barnes, is a phenomenal teacher, and this definitely shows their hard work. And then 83% of our kindergarten students were above the benchmark in early literacy, which is a combination score of several factors. 5 reading plans remain with our kindergartners to work on next year. And then 93% of our first graders were above the benchmark in early literacy. And there are 2 reading plans that still remain with our first graders. So they really grew. They really made us proud. They worked hard. Math right now, the testing is happening. So we don't yet have our spring data in terms of math. However, at the winter benchmark, 79% of our kindergartners were above the benchmark, 90% of our first graders, 82% of our second, and 84% of our third. So there was tremendous growth from fall to winter. So we're looking forward to see what the spring holds. One thing I didn't note on here after I sent it to Ann, so I wrote it down. With the reading, in second grade, we have 1 reading plan remaining. Moving into third grade, which is very, very important. As you know, once a student reaches that third grade threshold, they not only have to test above the benchmark in oral reading fluency, but they also have to be proficient on the forward.
Do you know how many students are in the 88% of third grade? You said 1 student for the 96%.
Yes, so that is 2 students in third grade.
Right, thank you.
2 students that weren't right above, and they were very close, like one was within 2 percentage points. So we're right there. And I wanted to highlight some students next because in terms of literacy and math in our building, it's really been a focus, but we can't do it alone as adults. We've got to, get our kids involved. And so I've got some students.
You look like an Olympic gold medalist.
They're phenomenal. So I've got 3 students. So I've got students from our Battle of the Books team. I know this. And our Math Masters team. So just to give you a little background on what these are, if you don't know. So WEMTA is the Wisconsin Educational Media and Technology Association, and they sponsor the Battle of the Books. It's a statewide program designed to promote a love of reading among students, and it encourages students to read a variety of books and remember information about the plot, character, and settings of all the books. So on June 1st, we received a list of 20 books, and Stephanie Smedock is the sponsor for our Battle of the Books crew. And so they had to read these 20 books starting in the summer. And from there, they had to memorize all sorts of things. I mean, I would go in when they were practicing, like, those things. And the questions with the Battle of the Books, all of the questions have to be answered with the title of the book and the author, right? That's all. So for Battle of the Books, Harold Much and Emerson Guchansky both were on the team, and she's got Jasper, did you do the Battle of the Books too?
I did it.
Okay, you did it last year. Jasper does all kinds of good stuff with us. So if you want to show the amazing plaque, because this is phenomenal. $235 teams were in the elementary division, and our team placed 3rd.
Wow.
And then I also want to talk a little bit about our Math Masters team because they did a phenomenal job this year and last year both. So Math Masters is a program that challenges 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students to use critical thinking and problem solving skills in mathematics. Students compete both as individuals and as teams in 8 rounds of competition. Students participate in 3 elements. There's a fact drill, an individual round, and a team competition. So all students compete in the fact drill round and in 4 individual problem solving rounds. So there's 2 pieces to the competition. And these rounds are done independently by each student, and then they also do 3 team rounds as well. So our team competed in Duluth on April 17th, and our team was Jackson St. Vincent, Lauren Webb, Elliot Izzard, Harold Munch, and Jasper Van Hornwitter. And Jasper and Harold are here to represent that team as well. Evelyn Johnson and Gabe Sand and Red Gunderson. So we had a nice sized team. There were 141 students this year at Math Masters, 29 full teams. Mr. Jay Burfield was the coach for our Math Masters team this year. And this year, the FCE team finished 8th overall in the team competition. Harold and Jasper also received individual awards. So in the individual fact challenge, Jasper, do you want to step forward because he looks like our Olympian. He finished 1st out of all the students in the individual fact challenge out of 141 kids.
Wow.
So
Can we ask?
well, and that's what I told him. I said, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I had to give him ahead of time because this is probably more stressful than that, which is. So, if you guys want to just share, Jasper, you can go first, and then Harold. So, what was your favorite thing about Math Masters?
Probably just doing the competition.
The competition.
Probably working with the team, having a list of books to read. Probably reading the books and trying to memorize the parts.
What was your favorite books?
Didn't
Didn't have a favorite?
I think Harold read them all. How many times? Quite a lot.
So I read at least twice.
Wow.
So, what did you learn from participating?
I learned a lot of different math skills. I learned to think of an actual team. How to work with a team.
So if you guys would like to ask them any questions, feel free.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Well, we want to thank
Meet
you
other
for.
kids from other teams?
Some.
Yeah.
You mostly were with your group. What do you guys want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do?
Soccer.
Ooh, nice. Ooh,
Some sort of space science.
wow. Great goals. Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Thank you, guys.
I see some other Falcons here.
I don't know.
It's not super exciting.
Uh-oh, there we go. All right, and there's their picture. So at the Math Masters tournament this year, and one of the things that was really cool is with the individual fact drill. It's pretty high pressure, and they do a countdown, and then all of the 141 kids flip their page all at the same time, like in sync, and it's just silent and pencils. It's very cool. So they did a really, really amazing job. We're proud. All right. So a couple challenges, of course, we want to talk about. When I was here last, we had discussed the new benchmark advanced reading curriculum, and that was quite a learning curve for our staff, and they definitely stepped up to the challenge. I mean, it was a lot of work. They worked incredibly hard. It took a lot of collaboration. I think that really strengthened our PLC teams as a whole. And having some additional time with their PLCs was a huge piece to the puzzle. That was one of the things I really prioritized this year is, for staff meetings and those sorts of things to really say, no, here's what you need. You need this time with your colleagues to plan and to talk about data and to take a look at how are kids doing? How is this working? So I think that really paid off. And you can see, in our data, I'm really feeling good about the new curriculum and the level of rigor that it has brought to the classroom, and I think it's making a huge difference. Of course, we had talked about, you know, the scheduling of instructional minutes and interventions with mixed grade level classrooms always continues to be a puzzle and a challenge. But we have met that challenge and continue to grow and learn from what works and what doesn't. The one thing that has cropped up with us this year that is new is attendance. And this year we had, as of last Friday, 8.1% of our students were chronically absent this year, which means it's 15 kids, and means they had missed it's up from 4% last year. So that's pretty significant jump. Those 15 students have less than 90% attendance, which is what chronically absent is based on. The primary reasons when I looked, so I pulled all the data and took a look, and the primary reasons were vacation and leaving early for sports activities. So I think that only 5 of the 15 had most of their absences from illnesses. And one of the things that was really tough for us this year is that 50% of our 4K kids were chronically absent. So I think that's something to take a look, you know, district-wide. Is that a trend we're seeing? And if so, you know, are there barriers for families? What are we looking at? I think that the wrap care that we have available that will be in some schools next year with the Y is really going to help a lot of that, because I think it's a struggle for families when it's only a half day and you work a full day.
Yeah.
You know, figure that out for your children. So, and with the leaving early for sports, I think, you know, that's a much bigger issue than just us or just myself, but, you know, working with the outside organizations to maybe prioritize kids being in school, and, you know, especially with us. I mean, it's a 20-minute drop, so it adds a little bit more to that puzzle. So attendance is something that I think as a team, our leadership team, we'll be looking at next year is how can we help support those families to make sure that the least amount of time is taken out of school.
And is there a specific age group then in that sport thing?
You know what? A lot of it was third, fourth, and fifth primarily. Yeah, and so I've met with some families and had some conversations about, you know, how can we make sure that they're in school as late as possible and still make it to practice at 4:00. You know, that's one of the big struggles that I. And then our CPR. And we're pulling up on. There we go.
Like, do you need a drum roll?
Okay, click on there for me. So we accomplished a lot in terms of our mission this year and the goals that we set in August, and really what the things that we wanted to accomplish as a staff through the course of the year. And a lot of it had to do with just that instructional time, taking a look at classroom schedules that allowed for all of those components of Benchmark Advanced to be taught with rigor, with fidelity during the school day. Really setting up those routines and procedures well to mitigate lost instructional time from transitions. Our PLCs teams met at a minimum of twice weekly and brought data to the table and had those conversations. A lot of them met way more than that. I mean, I would walk into the staff lounge and they would have papers out at lunch while they were talking about assessments. I'm like, I just need to eat your lunch. Students were provided small group instruction to boost lagging skills. So really through that win time at a minimum of four times a week. And that was written right into our master schedule. And then providing teachers feedback through the instructional coaches were really on site with us this year and really worked very closely with our team. So if we scroll down, some of the things that are still working. So of course, you know, PLC, they're still working on a more, I don't say strict, but a more streamlined process for looking at data, because it's really easy to go down a rabbit hole of, you know, taking a look at student data to try to determine, okay, why are we still struggling here? Or why did we miss this or that? And then the two things that are in red are things that we just didn't quite get to this year for a number of reasons. And so these will be on the forefront for the leadership team for next year. Is peer observations was one of the things that they've brought up they would really like to do. And being a small school, we have singleton teachers that are their only at their grade level, and they have really expressed some interest in going to other schools to be able to observe their colleagues and at the same grade level, just in another building. And so figuring out the logistics of that. And then the other piece is really having a clear articulation of that reading workshop time and what does that look like? What are the kids doing? What is the teacher doing in order to ensure that that instructional time is spent wisely every day? So that's kind of their marching orders for next year. And if you click back out. That's it. So any questions for me?
How many years have you been with us in the district?
I've been 9.
Nine.
This is
And
9.
as principal at Four Corners, all 9 years. Well, I'd like to thank you for your service as principal at Four Corners. Your commitment to the children, to all the families in Four Corners certainly means a lot to all of us, but especially to that community, those families in that area and stuff. Your dedication to academic excellence, the work that you've done over your 9 years is very commendable, and can't thank you enough for what you've done for our school district. And we look forward to seeing you in the classroom.
I feel honored and blessed to have served that community out there. They're amazing. The parents are amazing. The kids are amazing. The staff, I feel blessed, but I'm also very excited to be back in a classroom with kids and see them in a different light. And we'll see if they're all excited to see me.
I'm just,
And one of the things that, I talked with another school district about redistricting, and, they were like, it's not just 1 year, it's not just 2 years that affects families. So, how is the staff doing? How are the kids doing? And parents, just with some of those changes that happened, are you noticing anything?
We had this conversation in one of our last leadership team meetings, and we actually had to stop to think, okay, was that last year or the year before?
Right.
Because it's just kind of all melded together. I mean, really, thinking, okay, how many years has the student been here? What, and so that's a good thing. That shows me that, the families have become engaged and involved. The kids are just part of our Four Corners community. And so that has really felt good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
okay, the other items I have for next week, we have a couple more presentations next week, but we have one action item tonight. Mr. Horick is here talking about the annual 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. for spring break of 2028.
Yeah. It's an action item, hang on a minute, so we'll need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the consideration of overnight field trip request.
Second.
Motion a second for consideration of overnight field trip request from Michael Horick for 8th grade students to attend Washington, D.C. and New York City during spring break of 2028. Now the floor is yours, Michael.
I just wanted to come up and introduce myself. I'm Mike Horick. I've been teaching 8th grade. I've had the privilege to teach it for 14 years. This will be 2028 will be the 6th time that I've taken kids to New York and DC. Over that time, we've had over 200 students, 15 teachers, 1 superintendent, and chaperones. So,
Totally.
2 of my previous chaperones are right back here. They do an amazing job, and it's been a great trip. And
Just very fun.
Yeah.
And very well organized
Yeah.
and just great. Sarah, you done it too.
And the kids always come back and just have a blast. I've had a couple of kids this year talking about things that went on in the trip, and it's just been an amazing experience. So,
And
questions?
the best part was,
The best part was probably this past year. We got to see Aladdin on Broadway. So
wow, that was good.
that was a pretty good show, and they did amazing.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think the one question that did come up when we put it on the agenda is why are we approving this so early? Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Sure. So if I get the approval tonight, then I'd let EF know when we get the ball rolling. I'll get a parent meeting happening in October of 2026. Then parents have almost a year and a half to pay for it. So payments are pretty low, I think under $200 a month. And gives them 2 Christmases, in some cases 2 birthdays to get money and a long chunk of time to fundraise as well. So just trying to give parents that long period of time to make payments well.
I reviewed this, but I can't remember, if someone has to back out, what happens for the family?
So there's insurance that they can buy through EF. There's usually a deductible, but it really depends on the level of insurance that they.
Yeah, you gotta purchase like the insurance.
And I think the packages are under like a couple $100.
And you have insurance on the trip if something happened that it wasn't safe to travel somewhere.
The last time that
Okay, right.
happened, it was during COVID, and then
Right.
they moved the trip, didn't they, the next year?
Yeah, EF has been really good about, especially during that, since it was unprecedented,
Mhm.
just making sure that those families kept that money.
Yeah.
We had probably about 16 kids go after COVID, and the rest of the families got refunds, probably less deposit, or not deposits, but deductibles.
Mike, what do we do for that student? Man, I want to go. I really want to go, but my parents can't afford it.
EF does have scholarships available. It doesn't cover the whole thing, but that's a possibility. In the past, we've had fundraisers that we don't organize through the school, but I know they bake groceries at.
You actually make a lot of money baking groceries. Yeah.
Another thing that EF does have is it's like a GoFundMe page where you get linked specifically to your trip, and then you can send that out to people and get donations. 100% of anything that people donate goes towards that. I'm trying to think of what else. They sold Quick Trip car wash cards. Those have been pretty successful. It would take some work if that's the case, but I think it would be doable.
Not against this trip. I've been on it twice. I just question why this is an action item since it's not a school sponsored trip. And it's not during the school year. None of the funds go through the school,
Well,
so.
it's during the school year, during spring break.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not, they're not missing school for it. I know that it's been brought up about that in the past, so I'm not anti the trip. I want that clear, but I think it should be an informational item and not an action item.
When I looked into this probably 6 or 9 months ago, that question came up. We found that about half of the school districts kind of got it approved by boards, half of them did not. We felt like for transparency purposes, so that just keeping it as on our agenda. If the board wants to move it to an informational item in the future, you can let me know. We'll adjust it accordingly. I think it was just the transparency.
Is your concern liability, or what is your concern?
I just don't think it's something that it's not a school sponsored anything. So we really have,
It's an opportunity that kids can
right,
pay for that is, led by staff.
So we have it on here to show
Yeah.
support for it.
Right.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It could be an
Yeah.
informational item instead. And it's not just this one, it's any of the EF trips up.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's the ones that take place in the summer in Europe, and then it's this trip that we typically done.
How does staff get paid though?
That's what I was just.
And chaperones, especially
Yeah, we
because I know the two you said are teachers, so how is that covered?
It's a trade-off. They get to go to New York and DC over spring break. It's that trade-off. I think
part of the funds is covering the cost of the chaperones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh, okay.
every 10 students
yes, there.
sponsors one chaperone.
Okay.
Or that's for domestic. For international, it's 6 to 1. But for my trips, for every 10 travelers, 1 chaperone.
So it's not like staff are getting paid, district staff aren't
No.
getting paid. That's really what my question was. Thank you.
No.
Well, could we put this on a future agenda for conversation? Because it has come up, twice now.
Probably next month would be the best time to do it while it's fresh in our mind.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks. Oh, we saw
Thank you.
it, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Any other concerns from board members, comments? Hearing none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for the opportunity
Thank you.
for kids. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. For those of you that came for the special presentations this evening, you do not have to sit through the rest of this meeting if you do not
Right.
want to.
One more. Yeah.
Go. You're on. You people can't leave.
Yeah. Cool.
Pretty good. Wow.
We make it sound exciting. We can pick up
You're welcome.
speed for.
We should be able to get through the next two quickly.
That's what I'm saying.
Would you like me to move on?
Yes, please.
I shall. We'll move to our board committee reports. Personnel Negotiations Committee, Mr. Nick Olson.
I have one action item. Administration recommends approval of the May 2026 hires and separations report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Where are we at, Molly, with open positions? A few?
Yeah. Well, I would say we have a few math teachers that we need filled. We posted instructional coach to replace Amy. We have a couple early childhood special ed jobs that we have to fill. So, a handful.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. No informational items, no discussion items. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Operations Committee, Sarah Schubert McComb.
One informational item, the Superior Middle School front entrance update. Corey's got some updates on that. That sounds exciting.
Mhm.
Welcome back, Corey.
Thank you. Two in a row.
Right.
So we missed our April 14th. They didn't ship out the doors. Apparently we're having, Superior Glass is having problems with a vendor. The new ship date is June 27th. So it's gonna be to July.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm working with Superior Glass, trying to figure out if something happens on this one, what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
to have it back. So,
Discharge.
Dave gave me some numbers. You want me to go through the numbers or?
Well, I know one of the questions the board asked is where are we at with the insurance covering this and the cost to the district? So I don't know who wants to talk about that. I did share it with the board in a weekly update, but
So with the insurance, because we have the property insurance with Chubb, it's $25,000 deductible. So that's what the district is gonna be on, is the $25,000. Overall, I think we're at $113,000 in total expense for that door, classroom, shed, and just the entryway itself. But I made clear with Chubb that this needs to be open until everything is completed. They did come to me and they were trying to negotiate the numbers. One thing we were caught up on is our food service, because we closed the cafeteria at the middle school for those 3 days. There was no revenue generated in there. I gave them a number and they didn't like that number. They said, well, it's gonna cost a lot of money for us to bring an accountant to figure out the number. And they said, who pays for the accountant? They said they did, and I said, okay, bring the accountant in, and I'll send you. We did do all right on that side of it. They've been really good to work with as far as everything. And it's like Corey said, there will be alternatives created. This can be, if the vendor that's supplying the steel for the doorways and they hit that mark, there will be another solution that will be put in place, and that will be covered by the insurance company, because if it can't be put in, it has to be replaced to be open way around the insurance terms. So Corey's already working on what's the backup.
So where is the criminal case at? Because restitution is very difficult to collect, but we should be able to get some restitution from the alleged.
I'm gonna look at Kyle on this one. I want to, do you have an update or can you share that?
Yeah, generically, they've been keeping me kind of advised of what's going in. We've already submitted a petition for restitution.
Okay.
This individual that was involved had a reasonably good job, but now obviously is not going to be working that job. So that complicates things, but it'll turn into a judgment, be hanging out there at least.
Potential payments over
Right.
100 years, but
Yep.
something, right? Okay.
Yep, we're making sure that everything that we can do is being done.
Thank you, Kyle.
Great, thanks for that. Do you have any updates on Bryant? I know Nick and I were out there for a tour and things looked a little interesting.
Yes, everything's actually on schedule for the paint, the final touch-ups. They're gonna come back and there's a lot of stuff that they have to touch back up on. So, yeah, I've been meeting with Seth and home construction and stuff like that to keep the ball going.
Is that something they're gonna do over summer too? Okay.
Yep.
We had to.
It's why the summer school has been moved, because the front entry on that door has to be replaced yet too, so.
You would ask about the front doors.
Yeah,
That's,
You got it, okay.
So on that, what ended up happening was when they went to install the door, the original install, they never put any metal structure on the sides to support that. So now that's what the home construction was there to look at that. Okay. So like I said, yeah, everything's on schedule with that one, so.
Well, welcome and thank you for taking care of these nights we have right up
Jumping in.
Thank you.
It'll be easier.
Never a dull moment.
I'll say that.
Great.
I have no action items and no discussion items. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Teaching and Learning Committee. There are no action items, no discussion items. We have a couple of informational items. First of all, Crystal Hinsman, Director of Curriculum and Instruction.
So I have two informational items, but I'm going to ask that we do the second one first because that's the one that our guests are here to talk about. So for those of you who were here a couple of years ago, I shared a brief informational item. I think it was 2.5 years ago that we were embarking on an exciting journey with Catherine Command and UW-Superior to hopefully go through a NOAA grant process. And so we obviously fast forward a couple of years now, have some teachers and students that have some exciting things to share about what they've been doing. So I invite them to come on up to the podium and share their presentation.
Hi, I'm Robin Reckentrich, I teach 6th grade at the middle school. And I'm Val Pointer, I teach 8th grade science at the middle school. Yeah, and we made eye contact with someone and got involved.
They said, yeah.
Selves into, but always down for more, education on climate. So I know that. Okay.
Oh, where's that?
All right, we'll try it again. There we go. We didn't practice.
No.
So our project goal was to support place-based education and to better teach climate change and climate resiliency for our middle school students, especially underserved and BIPOC youth. And the end result of a lot of learning was to put together a podcast at the end of the year that two comm arts instructors from UWS last year came out to the middle school and then went out to the school forest and recorded students reading their podcast segments.
So professional development. So we had professional development multiple times throughout the last 2 school years, meeting for half days virtually, and we got resources from NOAA, like more than we could ever possibly hope for. PBS Learning Media, specifically PBS Sci Girls, UCAR Center for Science Education, which is the Colorado based location. And we had 2 full days of
information and resources, learning from them and what they can offer us, even though we're states away. And then we also got to learn from local storytellers and the media because one of the outcomes was to help us teach our students how to tell their story. So the results from year one, we had 200 of our SMS students involved in 6th and 8th grade. Like Val said, we had 7 virtual professional development days. There was a collaboration with a school in Red Lake, an environmental charter school down in Hayward, and then also the Twin Cities 4-H. So we met virtually, but the professional development was pretty amazing. The kids wrote about 100 personal stories. We shared about 40 verbal stories, and like I said, the comm arts professors worked their magic and put it into one podcast. So this year, the goal was to, now that we had a better idea of what our what the end goal was, we wanted to build on data usage from the resources. So bringing more of that into the classroom, having storytelling as part of the curriculum and not just something we threw in because we had to try it. Getting more students involved in the recording of the podcast. Robin was able to present at Passport to the World. And then we're here as well. Yeah, all of my students recorded their short podcast segment just using their laptops. And then they embedded that into a slide about their place, the place they chose to write about. And we put it together in a slideshow for Passport to the World. So then we hope to, we have a date on the calendar. We're going to record a second podcast in late May. Tom and Tom will come over and hopefully we'll be able to record out in the woods. It was a gorgeous day last year. We have a backup plan, I think. And then we'll put it together and we're still kind of figuring out where to broadcast it, but so, yeah. So we thought we'd have 2 live presentations each day of the podcast segment. And Allison, you want to come up and go first? You want to come up and stand here? Do you want to come on? We'll see up here. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just they're pretty friendly. People, sorry. Okay, Allison, thank you. Yeah, go for it.
Ready.
My favorite memory from being at Wisconsin Point was when I was with my dad and my dog. Wisconsin Point is one of the largest freshwater sandbars in the world, located in Superior, Wisconsin. We went there on a cool, breezy day, and the sky looked like it was trying to rain. I could smell the pine trees as we walked around the beach. I remember I kept stopping to play with the sand and draw things in the sand. As we were walking around in the woods, I could hear the leaves crunching as we stepped on them. After we were walking on for a while, it started to rain. I could hear the heavy waves crashing on the shore and the rain dripping off the leaves. As we walked, the rain hit our faces, dripping down our faces as we walked. The cool breeze made my jacket blow. Wisconsin Point is a fun place to be because you can hang out with family and friends. You can also go swimming and walk out to the lighthouse. It's also a really fun place to go there because you can go swimming in Lake Superior. I love to hear people talking and having fun with their families. It makes me feel so happy. I also love seeing all the wildlife there. Some animals you can see there are squirrels, deer, and birds. People like to go there and bird walks, especially during summer and fall migration. We should protect Wisconsin Point because it's really important to people who live here and to animals that call it home. It's a really fun place to hang out and people love it. Some ways we can protect Wisconsin Point are to pick up your dog's waste, clean up after yourself, and don't have campfires on the beach. That's just some ways we can protect Wisconsin Point. Climate change is also affects Wisconsin Point. Climate change is causing storms to be more severe, which causes waves on Lake Superior to be bigger. These large waves can cause erosion, which can wash out roads. When this happens, it's very unsafe to drive to get to Wisconsin Point. Those are just some reasons why I love Wisconsin Point. We should really work hard to protect this incredible sandbar and try to slow down climate change.
Thanks very well.
All right, and Amy's got competition.
I know.
And this is Addie. She has a favorite place she's gonna talk about too. Whenever you're ready, kiddo.
The Boundary Waters, also known as BWCA, is my favorite place to go with my dad. It's a beautiful place where we can go canoeing to a campsite and stay there. The Boundary Waters is in northern Minnesota. I love this place because it's just beautiful. It's very peaceful, canoeing to a campsite with the paddle hitting the water in a rhythmic pattern. The quietness of the lake is calming. We see beaver dams and all the pretty trees. I love how we see chipmunks, beavers, frogs, fish, and so much more. And it's really peaceful with all the little critters around us. I feel like I escape reality when I feel like I'm living in a world with just me. My favorite place of the Boundary Waters was the first time I went there on my 8th birthday. We got to Sawbo Lake and got in the canoe. It was a long but peaceful canoe ride to find a campsite. But we got to the gorgeous campsite. I was astonished. It was very pretty and all the natural features that played into the role of it feeling like a home. The roots acting like stairs into the house, the trees dividing all the little rooms, the walk down to the lake, everything was amazing and I loved it there. Then we grabbed our backpacks out of the canoe. My dad grabbed the food and taught me how to tie the food up so we didn't accidentally food the bears. Tent and then went to the island across from our campsite and went walking in the woods and just enjoyed ourselves. It's a family tradition to go with our dad on our 8th birthday. He takes us up to the Boundary Waters on or near our birthday. Our first trip is with just our dad, but then we go with our siblings or family friends. I always and forever remember my first trip there. I think it should be protected because I love the Boundary Waters so much. It's at risk though. People want to open a copper sulfide mining site near the Boundary Waters. The Boundary Waters is at risk because copper sulfide mining is one of the most toxic industries in the country. The pollution from mining is nearly impossible to contain. It can last up to hundreds, even thousands of years in the water. The Boundary Waters has very clean water and it is dangerous from being polluted by mining. Many people, including me, would be very upset if those clean waters were contaminated. If that mine was built there, there may not be the clean water. That may mean a less clean and peaceful trip. There's another problem with the Boundary Water climate change. Climate change is causing more severe storms. For example, in 1999, there was a storm called a Draco. The storm blew down 500,000 acres of land and wind. Winds were up to 80 to 100 miles per hour. Then the trees dried out, and years later, 2 different fires started and were made bigger by the drought conditions and dryness. The first fire was the Cavity Lake fire that started when the blowdown trees had got struck by lightning on July 15th, 2006. The Cavity Lake fire was made worse by how dry it was and how dry the trees were. The second fire was at Ham Lake on May 5th, 2007. It started by an unattended campfire. The Ham Lake fire was also made worse by the dry conditions. Both these significant fires were made worse by dry climate. We can help by using less fossil fuels, using public transportation, using solar power, and many other things. I think it's very important to protect this place because thousands of people go there every year to go camping. And for many people the boundary waters is their safe place. If the severe storms and the mining continue, we may lose the clean water and the safeness and the peacefulness. We need to do something before the boundary waters lose its features that everyone goes for. That is why we need to protect the beloved boundary waters from these risks.
Every time I know, I was like, oh, that's it, I'm done.
So that was our experience, and Robin got 100 kids to write letters like that.
Wow.
And, well, most of the 100. And record it and make it public for anyone to hear. So that is the silence experience we had.
That was really special that you both shared about your special spaces, and I think we can all relate to that. Thank you so much for that gift.
Thank you.
Excellent. Very much.
If you can imagine, Robin go above and beyond to make projects like this happen for their students. Okay, and I have one other item. I just wanted to share a couple of updates from some things that have been happening this month. First, we had staff development on April 24th. Our teachers worked 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. that day. We take the hours off of that day because they worked in August in the evening for open houses. So it's kind of a fun day. Everyone, there's a little more energy when people know they can go home a little bit early in the afternoon. Our elementary teachers all met together at Cooper and did continued learning and work and collaboration and grade level discussions around the literacy resource and benchmark advance. Our middle school staff did a safety training similar to the one that the high school had done earlier this year with the liaison officer. They were really appreciative of that, and then spent time in the content areas and PLCs. And at the high school, Ryan Haroldson led the high school in some mission and vision work that he's establishing as the newer principal to that building. And then the high school staff dug in and did some learning and work and practicing around giving feedback to students, which was, that's a big area of focus and will continue to be into next year. Then at the, towards the end of that time on April 24th, we surveyed all of our teachers. We give them an anonymous survey about staff development, questions about the whole year, what they valued most, what they learned during building time, grade level time, choice sessions, all that stuff. We had 222 teachers fill out the survey, and we're going to use that data on May 15th for our principals and coaches and Dottle to sit down and look through and then decide how to use our time on our staff development days next year. So our teachers have direct feedback into what that'll look like. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you is we have moved forward with our elementary plans for next year around math. As you know, we're going to wait until the fall of 2027 for all of our elementary teachers to move forward with our new curriculum resource so they can continue to get established with the literacy. We had 18 elementary teachers apply to be lead learners next year and be early implementers. We let everyone apply and we took everyone who applied. We didn't say no to anyone. We wanted the process to be for whoever wanted to be part of it and yet not twist any arms or make people have to be part of it. So we had a little meeting with them to talk through logistics and our summer training we'll do with them and when materials will come and all of those things. Materials have been ordered and we're underway with that. So we're excited and thank those teachers, and we'll be sharing throughout the year next year how it's going. So then they're ready to help their colleagues in the fall of 2027.
Are they scattered throughout the district?
They are scattered throughout the district. It is not a perfect 2 kindergarten, 2 first, because we wanted to take everyone and yet not kind of force anyone to do that if their passion or the commitment, was too much for them for next year. But yes, they are scattered throughout grade levels and schools, and yes. And the principals, of course, will be no matter how many lead learners from a building there may be, all of the principals will be involved in the trainings and stuff next year. Also,
There was 20.
18.
18, yep. Do you know how many in each school then, each elementary?
It ranges from like 1 or 2 to, I think, Northern Lights probably has like 8. So it ranges.
Yeah.
It's range. And something different that we did with the math lead learners from what we did 8 years ago with literacy lead learners is we didn't force a whole team of teachers to be on board in order to be part of the lead learners. So if, there's, let's say, for example, 2 third grade teachers at Bryant, but only one of them wants to be a lead learner, that's okay. We have tried this in the past with the whole team needs to do it together, but we didn't want to push anybody in case people feel that they need that additional year before starting it. So,
Do you know what the training timeline looks like for it yet?
yes, so we have the trainer coming from Amplify Desmos on August 19th. The teachers will be trained a full day of training. They'll have their materials, all the staff. Teachers will get paid additional pay to attend the training that day. And then throughout the school year, next year, we will be having small group pullouts and PD for those teachers. Our goal is to do more than just what we would typically do with everybody, but to dig in and build even more capacity in those teachers so then they can help their colleagues the next year when everyone starts. We'll of course have our instructional coaches and myself and the principals helping, but there's a lot of power when teachers help each other. So yes, we have plans set out for the training and then throughout next school year to each time they start a new unit, we'll pull people together and help them unpack the unit they're about to teach and unpack the standards they'll be teaching. Like that's the approach we'll take, similar to the approach we've done with our secondary teachers who've been doing Amplify.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Dina Hagan here for our Director of Special Education and Student Services, update on the Joint Federal Notification, JFN packet, and I heard here it's a good report.
Yes, I wanted to tell you about this. I haven't reported on this before, so I thought this would be great for you to hear. This is an annual notification that we get from the DPI. And what it means is with the regularly collected data throughout the year, the DPI has to look at all of that according to the federal law requirements. So IDEA, as the federal special education law, has, of course, a lot of things involved in it when it comes to special education law. And so there are 16 indicators that data is collected on from all the districts in the state to determine basically a score on how we're doing. And so I listed all of the indicators there for you on that sheet so you could just see the different categories. And again, this is all in regards to students that have IEPs, students in the special education process. So our score this year, well, the score for 2025 was 98% out of 100. So
Wow.
I was really excited to see that. Yeah. No, this is just a true testament to the work that the staff is doing to ensure that their data is super accurate, when they're doing their paperwork and their it's not just about the IEP paperwork, it's about all kinds of data that's associated with the progress and the achievement of our kids that receive special education. So just for context, last year's score was 93%. The year before was 94%. So we are consistently doing very well with this. And I just wanted to just talk about a couple areas just so it kind of makes sense a little bit more. Like for example, the assessment participation pieces, the third and fourth indicators there. So it's required by federal law that we have our students that have IEPs take the district and state assessments like any other kid. We can't exclude them from that. And so our score is very high because we put a lot of effort into making sure that all kids take the assessments and they have the accommodations that they need And we do that through the IEP process. And then Kate works really hard to make sure those accommodations, you know, it's all in place and ready for the assessment. So we do very well with our participation. The educational environment codes, I just thought you might be curious about this. So we work really hard to make sure that when kids receive special education services, they're in the least restrictive environment possible, meaning they're with non-disabled peers in a general education setting as much as possible. And so we have a code that goes with their services. And so that data piece is calculated to see, are we doing a good job of making sure our kids are in the least restrictive environment possible? And so that contributes to our score. And then lastly, just timely evaluations. We have 60 days to complete a special education evaluation once we get a signature consent from a parent. And so our staff do an amazing job at making sure we're within those 60 days. And then Casey does an amazing job of making sure our data is accurately reported to DPI. So it's a big team effort to get that 98%. So I just wanted to share that with you. Do you have any questions for me?
Is this something only public schools are expected to do?
That's a really good question.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
besides to private schools, it doesn't, charter schools, I believe probably. There are different indicators for different groups of schools, so I think there are some different indicators. They don't have all of the same indicators to your point. Yeah. We have the max, of course.
yeah, and kudos to you because I know there's been a lot of time and effort put into creating space to do the documentation, to have the appropriate plans in place. So,
Is
and,
this
and thank you for the staff, but thank you to you too.
Yeah, thank you.
part of the pizza and paperwork? Nights?
Yep, still doing that. Gotta eat a pizza.
I mean, the
Don't lie.
challenge of special education is we are always trying to balance the support that kids and our students need with all these regulations that we're obligated to ensure are happening at the, you know, from state and federal guidelines. So it's just this balance of, it's hard, but
That's part of why I was wondering,
that's
like,
what's hard.
are non-public schools required because they're not required to serve children with
Right.
SPED.
Right.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dina.
Thank you.
Next Monday, we'll get another update from Jennifer Willoughby on kindergarten transition, 4K and Get Kids Ready program, and a final update on our summer school program. There are no other matters to be brought before this committee, and that concludes my report. Next is the Budget Insurance Committee, Kathleen Gamon.
Yeah, let's see if I can remember what I'm supposed to do. So I have two informational items, and revenue and expenditure preliminary reports.
I just had a couple questions. So, let's see what my first one is. The interest you have on the revenue side, you didn't put very much in the budget for that, but it was way exceeding that. Can you just explain that a little bit?
So I think 2 years ago, we switched up the way that we held our money. We weren't making much interest previously on how we held it out. I ended up negotiating with our local bank to get a 3.5% interest on all of our funds in our general fund index. Our accountant then's in charge of, like, if we go and look at our bank account, it says we have $2 million. And then our general fund index pushes all that extra money above that 2 million or $2.5 million into interest bearing account. Since we've been doing that, because the markets have been solid, we've been able to get a lot of interest built up from that. So
Is that line 280, Nick, or?
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, and I just say that's a testament to David, and you're just constantly looking for ways to save money and earn money at the same time. So kudos to you for that. Just one more question. Just I think it was a typo, but line 295 in the expenses was 175,000 higher, and I think it was supposed to be on a different line.
yep. So that was a journal entry made for our computer lease payment a few years ago or previously, up until 2 years ago, it was hitting that 295 function. And it shouldn't hit 295, it should hit at 281. Which was skewing our admin costs. That's another thing I found when I got in there and looked at it, is like why I looked at our admin costs, and it's like $200,000 more than what I anticipated it to be. And then I found they were putting the capital lease payments for our laptops into that function code, skewing that number off. So that actually pulled us down below average for our administrative costs. So, but what happened then, I think, is just when they put in the journal entry, they copied the previous ones. Sure, that shows up as that, and then in the back end you see a journal entry that I made last year. So I think they copied the original, and then that'll get fixed before the next. So
it just defaults the original input, and
Yeah,
you
but-
had to do a journal entry. Is that right?
Well, when they do the entry themselves, it's like when they're running through the AP process, they go back and look for previous AP entries in the same way. It was like that previously. Then I made a journal entry to fix it, but they're not looking for that journal entry. They're looking for an AP entry.
Sure.
And that's something that, I would have, when I go through it on the 15th of every month, I would have seen that. And that journal entry was made like the 20th of the last month. So,
That's all I got.
Snack. Should be asking questions. Preliminary budget update.
So David, I know that this is a work in progress. My recommendation is that you share it initially tonight, but it moves to a formal action item next week so that at least it's documented that we've given this preliminary budget.
and the key with that too is just being able to, I don't anticipate having to take a line of credit, but I can't take a line of credit unless a preliminary budget. So, the big thing with the budget process, it takes me a full year to do this. I'm working on multiple budgets at the same time. Last year's, this year's, next year's, and then years out. To do this, I'm talking with multiple, all the administrators. I'm going out talking to schools, all the department leads, figuring out where they're going to be spending money next. And do they anticipate any big spend at all? Let's see. Here it is. All right. Then also listening sessions, I take that in consideration when it comes to like what are the big things they're asking for? Is that something we have available in the budget? And then discussions with the board. We have the board meetings themselves, and then smaller group meetings we have at times. And then the big thing I've really been using is I still get input from other business managers. I actually talked to Cody quite a bit out of Maple. He's been really good at this. Chad down at Chippewa Falls. And then various others. I've been talking to Drummond actually quite a bit lately. They provide input on what they are seeing. A lot of it is just trying to talk us off the edge because we deal with the same stuff we are. So, and then also work with the Baird. So I get that whole statewide thing. Key aspects of the preliminary budget. By definition, a budget is an estimate of what the revenue expenses will be. So a preliminary budget is just an educated guess. When I give you these numbers, I can guarantee you, and it's the only guarantee I can make, is they're going to change. There's a lot of things that are still holding out there. There's a lot of stuff that on the expense side that, I don't really know what's going to happen next year until we finish out this year. But, part of that is the insurance, our property insurance. I don't know what our property insurance is going to be next year after we just put a $111,000 claim in. So, the revenue, I actually do have a better handle on just because this is the second year of biennium. In most years, it would be really solid what we have on revenue. I'd be able to tell you, hey, this is what we got. The sped reimbursement is the big elephant that's standing out there that I don't know which way it's going to go. If you would ask me a month and a half ago, I would have told you we're going to get an extra $600,000 this year in sped reimbursement. I don't think that's going to happen now because there is no deadline. So that's the only way stuff gets done. Hopefully next year, I've heard other rumors that they'll bump it up maybe to 50% next year. Some certain, so in actuality, we're still going to get that 45%, but there's a lot of variables out there. And when I make this budget, I want to make sure that it's pretty conservative, that I don't want to have to come back and say I was totally off. I want to be within reason. So this is it. This is the preliminary budget. The big thing to point out is the downward trend on our membership or enrollment. The per pupil increase, which I'll get into in a little bit, is $325 per pupil categorical aid, $742. That hasn't moved for over 5-6 years. TIF out, equalization, I'll get more into that a little bit later. And then our Fund 10 revenue, we're going from 62, or almost 63 million down to 58.8 million. To next year, we're going to be at a whopping $58.8 million. At the same time, our expenditures at 59.8, 58.6, and now they're up to 59.4. A big part of that is where we're using ESSER money. So we use a lot of one-time funds to pay off money because we need to use that ESSER funds. That is gone. This is the first year in 5-6 years that we didn't have ESSER money hanging. You're going to see the big red number out there, the deficit. I do anticipate a deficit next year. People here see deficit, they think it's terrible. It's bad, yes, but what's worse is an unplanned deficit. This is what I'm anticipating. A lot of variables can be in there. There's a lot of changes. There are stuff I can move around as well, but not only do I have to look to next year, but we got to look for years in the future. So, and then that's the fund balance. It's dropping down from 34.5% to 33%. That's a number I really keep a close eye on. When I forecast out, worst case scenario, we are at 0% fund balance, 29, 30. But there's a lot of things that can change. This is a quick breakdown summary of the revenue. So the big thing, the thing I want you to look at, is if you look at that first line, property taxes. This past year, we paid we got about $20 million in property taxes. Next year, I'm anticipating $17.6 million in property taxes. That's offset by, if you go 2 lines below that, $32 million in equalization aid compared to $30 million this year. So the state is going to give us more aid next year.
And we know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, as much as.
Well, I know you said but.
The big thing it comes down to is in this previous slide, TIF out equalization value growth. From 23 to 24 to 24, 25, our property value went up 6.5%. That everybody did, everybody got their taxes, values went up, city or county did not. Then all of a sudden, the next year, I got a reduction of 1.64%. It was absolutely unprecedented. I was anticipating a 5% increase. It turns out there was an error in the valuation of the city of Superior's overall property. I understand it was the marina. Because then they had to take the marina out, that significantly reduced the property value of the city of Superior. So now our aid's going to go up. You can look at it in one or two ways. You can look at it bad way and say, you overcharge us. We didn't get as much aid as we should have this year, causing our taxes to go up. Or the good way, at least they're fixing it. And we're getting back to the point where I anticipate our tax levy to actually stay flat. So we'll get a 1 year reprieve from taxes increasing. And then down the board, I kind of give explanations on the side of where we're seeing reductions and increases. One thing I did like to see is that state AGR aid, that used to be SAGE. That's actually staying flat with that. And that SAGE is based upon kids, I think it's K3. If they're K3 and all of a sudden we're staying flat, at least there's light at the end of that tunnel now. We're not going to continue to see this decline in enrollment. Unfortunately, it's like 6 years away. But at least it's flattening out for us. And then another one, but then there's the reduction in title. We're looking at $161,000 in.
And I think we're anticipating a greater reduction in the following school year. That's what we've been told.
We've been told to expect at least 25% for the 27-28 school year.
It's $250,000.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one yet. All right, cool.
Yeah. David.
So,
Good thing to say, David.
overall revenues remaining flat. Why is it remaining flat? Because we have declining enrollment, reduction in federal grants, $325 increase in per pupil. This is the revenue limit worksheet. Again, this is the sheet this is how all the revenue gets calculated. Right now, if you see it in pink, that means it's an estimate. By the end of in October, when I turn this in, everything's in yellow because right now all the pink is just estimates based upon the information I have with. So, per pupil increase, otherwise known as the Evers veto, you get a $325 increase per student. But that increase is eaten up by our decline in enrollment. So if we get 325 extra for all 3,837 FTEs or students, that's an increase of $1.2 million. But we lost 138 kids. Each one of those kids brings in $11,907 in revenue. That means we lost $1.6 million. Our home harmless, our decline in enrollment exemption actually flattens it out, so we're not seeing that $400,000 decrease in revenue. Overall revenue is actually increasing by $61,838 right now on my tentative estimate. So the big thing, or at least I just added this in today, stole the slide or created the slide, is I had a friend.
Which was it?
I'm gonna guess we created it from AI. That's what I'm gonna guess. Using our resources. Yes.
I had a friend come to me and say, "It's crazy. Why is the revenue stay the same? You got 138 kids." Well, we do. We have 138 less kids. So we have 138 kids that we lost, spread across 7 schools, 13 grade levels, K-12. If you multiply that out, 7 times 13, you get 182. So now you have 182 classrooms, 132 kids. So we're taking 3/4 of a kid out of every single classroom. So if I made Pat leave right now, how much money are we saving by Pat not being in this meeting or this classroom? We're not saving a penny. He's just not here. We're still paying for the lights and everything. That's why we're seeing this decline in enrollment and expenses exceeding what revenue is. So for every kid I lose, that's $11,977. I save almost nothing until you get to a breaking point or the tipping point, I guess, which is what Lake Superior was. It got to the point where we were tipping point. We had enough of a reduction that we could reduce the school and then not increase costs because those kids could get absorbed by all the other schools. So, yeah, that's AI's help right there. This is again the revenue limit worksheet. I just like to keep adding this in just so everybody understands that I'm not making these numbers up. These are all in the calculations that are out there. And yeah, we'll look at what the mill rate and everything will be in October. Expenses. So an increase in expense of 1.4%. So we have a large increase in health insurance, about $1.8 billion. Salaries and benefits increase at 2.25% or $1 million. A significant reduction in OPEB and a significant reduction in Fund 46, which is a capital projects. When we're looking at this, the reason this number is actually down is because as we lose teachers, as we lose staff, as we lose bus drivers, custodians, food service, any of them, we're evaluating if we need to replace that because we know we have to figure out ways to reduce expenses. 80% of our expenses are tied up in people. So unfortunately, people is where the expenses need to take place. And it's one thing I think Amy doesn't get enough credit for is since she's been here, she's been doing it based off of attrition. And I've talked to other districts, other business managers, and they get jealous about the fact that we reduce off of attrition as opposed to waiting until the last minute, getting to a point where we're negative fund balance and then making really, really hard, drastic cuts.
Well, I hope that was the message that you heard when we tried to draft that letter last week. That
Right.
Hope that came out.
Yeah. So here's the breakdown of the expenses on the salary and benefits. They've increased as expected. There's savings from the eliminated position, reduces a significant amount of expense. Our OPEB contribution is where I've reduced a significant amount. OPEB is for the group of teachers hired in 09, January 1 of 09 or prior. They're eligible for an HRA contribution when they retire. Those are all post-employment. We don't pay them ahead of time. My philosophy, the one that I'm really pushing for finance for our school district is we got to pay it as it goes. And that's why I try and move a lot of the expenses we have, even on the computer side. But those expenses are so significant, you have to save up for it. And you put money into what's called Fund 73, your OPEB account. I've put a significant amount of money in that in the last couple of years, knowing that in future years, I'm not going to be able to make that contribution. We have 91 teachers that are going to be eligible for that benefit. Plus we have 15 that are still in the process because they get paid out once a year for 5 years. It's about $10 million in post-employment benefits that we're on the hook for. So I think I'm at about $8 million in my OPEB accounts, and I have a long time before I actually have to pay all that out. Because if you were hired in 09 as a 25-year-old, that means you're not going to retire. The earliest you can retire is in 2039. So we have some time, but it's going to be really hard to make contributions to that.
I want to add, like, we have to, as a district, if we want to keep seeing this progress academically, retain the staff and the quality of staff that we have. And so, you know, I think as a board, you know, we really had a in-depth conversation about, like, what can we afford as a district so that we're responsibly providing people with the raises they need because of the cost of living, but also being responsible with what we know is our true budget situation.
And I always say too, it's a balance of making sure you are investing in those salaries to attract new employees to our district. And it's also the investment of putting into these benefits to retain, you know, there's like the balance there of.
Right.
That's part of the reason for the focus group too.
Right.
Committee working on
Right.
benefits and getting creative.
Right, right. Got to be able to balance the immediate and the long-term benefits. Yeah.
Sorry, thanks, David.
Salary and benefits for Fund 10 are 40 million. But there's an additional transfer we have from Fund 27, and 95% of that is salary and benefits. So you're looking at another $6.5 million in salary and benefits. So you're getting up to a total of $47 million in salary and benefits. The other 12 million is what we have to use to run the rest of the district. And then on top of, we have our open enrollment expenses, our vouchers, non-capital, that Fund 27 transfer, which is that 6.5. Our Fund 46, so that Fund 46 is a capital projects. I've reduced that, anticipating for next year by $500,000. But we have a lot of projects, and I've always talked about it. I think we have small groups in the summer, so we can go in further with detail with everybody on the board. That's a huge expense that's also out on the horizon, and unfortunately, none of that is getting cheaper. And the main thing I get worried about is the roofs we have that are reaching the end of life and how to pay for those. So with all those other expenditures, that's what's falling into it. So it's all across the board, between our computers, our insurance, buildings and grounds, fuel in our buses, a lot of the other dual courses we provide for seniors. It all adds up really fast, and we have to figure out a way to find a way to afford that. Utilities is always a big one too. People complain about their utilities. When mine goes up 10% here, it's $140,000 that I get fined. So
has there been conversations with Focus on Energy about getting them in here?
yeah, so we've talked to them. They're the light guys, I believe, and they always come in with a really sweet deal, but it's a huge outlay of money to begin
On the
with.
front end.
I'm sure Corey's going to hit me up with it. Bobby always hit me up with it. Hey, I can save you, $100,000 in 5 years. And like, well, how much is it going to cost me? Well, $200,000 now, but I'll save you $100,000.
This was part of the work we did during the referendum, right, Steve? And Laura, I mean, remember, like, we did utilize some of those things.
And
Like with high school Cooper.
Corey has already hit me up. He's like, we're not going to be able to get halogen lights. Is that the type of whatever light bulb? Make them more. So he's like, you're going to have to change it. So,
over in Minnesota right now, you can't buy halogen lights, and it's fast approaching right now.
Yeah.
So the goals of the preliminary budget is I'm gonna keep the board and the public educated and know what's going on. Transparency on the use of taxpayers' money. It's a line of credit requirement. If I did need or decide to go for a line of credit, they will not do it until either a budget or preliminary budget is passed. And then you have that that period between July 1 and October 30th, or when are we, October 26th, when we approve our budget, that it wouldn't be able to get a line of credit. Passing this preliminary budget at least gives me the ability to get a line of credit if needed. I don't anticipate it this year, but I think I just want to get into this routine where you guys see it ahead of time. You guys will get into, from this point forward, I think you guys are going to get budget updates. Maybe not next month, but July going forward, you guys are going to get constant budget updates. And then give people the ability to advocate for proper public education. I think the more people learn, the more people know and understand how it's working, the more people will actually fight for us. Like I said, my buddy that says absolutely your expenses should go down. Then we show him the numbers. It's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. He's still spending. So this is the preliminary budget. This is what it looks like, and what we'll transition this to an action item next week for you guys to approve. If you do have questions before then, just
Will you make sure that you share this with them tonight?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
A lot of work.
On the action items? So start with one. I have one with gifts, grants, and bequests. Administration, it recommends approval of to accept gifts, grants, and bequests received in April of 2026.
Motion to approve. Oh, go ahead. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just want to point out, Sarah Schubert McCone and her business has a donation fund, a little cup, and that's a significant amount, Sarah, so thank you.
That's all donated by the community and our customers, so.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. I have another annual donation to Scholarship Foundation. Administration recommends approval of the annual donation in the amount of $1,000 to the School District of Superior Scholarship Foundation, Inc.'s Student Activities Fund. Motion to approve.
And
any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, CISA 12 Shared Services Contract. Administration recommends approval of the 2026-27 Shared Services Contract with CISA 12 in the amount of $98,831.24. This reflects a decrease from the 2025-26 contract cost of $101,892.94. The district will continue to utilize CISA 12 for essential services. The reduced total is a result of strategic adjustments to specific service levels based on current district needs.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Amy, the drop, what was it related to?
Well, that's what I wanted to say. That's a very fancy sentence. So I wanted to reiterate what that meant. It's like, wow. We have not reduced the type of services that we're receiving from CISA 12. We reduced the amount of services. So for example, a lot of it has to do with our special education costs. We still are tapping into some of those low incidence areas, but we just don't need the same level as we needed this year.
Hearing impaired. Okay.
Yeah.
Vision.
Vision,
Vision.
hearing.
Hearing impairment too.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I have no discussion items. That ends my report.
All right.
Shelley, how come we always get almost the last slot all the time? We're gonna have to take a look into this.
We'll put you on first next. Come on.
Policies and rules, Shelley Moan.
Right, I have no informational items today and no discussional items, but we do have 5 action items. Administration proposes the approval of changes to the following policies based on Neola recommendations. First one is administration recommends approval of the first reading of policy 0142.7, orientation. This policy update provides new topics to help prepare each board member for their duties to ensure the effective functioning of the board, encouraging new members to understand board functions, district operations, and procedures.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I just wanted to reiterate, all of these policies are from our Neola updates. They're on the calendar that I shared with you guys, so hopefully you saw that calendar at your request that I've embedded into the weekly update. And all the things that were in there we're already doing. So Lisa was already experienced some of those things that they've added, so.
Can we ask her how it's going so far?
Sure.
How's it going?
Good.
Not fast enough.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next one is the first reading of policy 1230.01, development of administrative guidelines. This policy delegates to the district administrator the responsibility for designing and implementing administrative guidelines for the district's operation, ensuring they are consistent with board policies. It's important for establishing clear operational procedures and ensuring that the district's daily functions align with the board's strategic vision.
I think we should allow Dr. Paulson her time.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the first reading of policy 1240, evaluation of district administrator. This policy revision includes new options to allow the board to make decisions regarding the district administrator's contract renewal, determine their salary and performance-based incentives, and assess progress towards district strategic goals.
Motion to approve.
I will second.
Their discussion?
I would like to talk more about that for next year and just kind of assess how it went this year for Dr. Starzecki and for us as board members. So just I'll be reaching out to Molly and hopefully have more conversation about that for next year.
And this doesn't really change anything in our
Right,
process. It's
right.
just Neola recommendation.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next is the first reading of new policy 5515, student use and parking of motor vehicles. This policy outlines the conditions under which students may use motor vehicles to travel to and from school, emphasizing their responsibility for property care, safety, and courtesy. It's important for establishing clear guidelines for student drivers, ensuring safety and promoting responsible behavior on school grounds.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So this is already in the handbook.
Yeah, this,
right?
we don't have a
I couldn't
policy.
believe it.
Yeah, and I
Like-
did run this by Ryan, and of course he was fine with it. Yeah, yeah, this, we didn't have a policy on this, and they just recommended you do, but it is in the first.
Nice.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last update is rescind policy 5895, student employment. This policy is being rescinded. Teenagers in Wisconsin need a work permit if they are under 16 and are not working in agriculture or domestic service. Schools are no longer authorized to provide students with work permits. Parents or guardians must apply for the permit online through the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, DWD website.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion?
We've been doing that, so.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. This ends my report.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder, board members, the committee assignment, make sure you get that back to me by Wednesday. There's 2 documents in there. One document gives you an explanation of the committees. And then the other document is for you to rank your choices.
It's also Teacher Appreciation Week. So thank you to our teachers. And the powwow happened. I wasn't able to make it, but I'm really excited. It'll hope, oh, you did,
Yeah,
good.
it was really good. There was
Two
good
female
turnout.
head dancers, Keys
Yeah,
was there.
it was awesome. It was really awesome. Hopefully they have it again. So if you didn't make it, you can attend. It was great to partner with UWS for that. So I'm sure hopefully Jen will talk about it a little bit next. I think so.
Yeah, thank you.
I have some updates from the scholarship committee. If you would like to go to scholarship recognition night, it is May 13th at 6 p.m. at the high school. Let's see, everyone that applied to the scholarship application, there was 165 student applicants and 134 scholarships were given out. Everybody that applied got a scholarship. There was $417,900 given, which is higher than last year, which is fantastic. And I believe they finally figured out the whole accounting drama.
Did they?
I think so.
Super. EMO.
So fantastic. May 13th, go. It's really fun.
For your reading pleasure tonight, Ann just submitted the committee preference form for you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Crystal.